It's been a long time, hasn't it? It feels like we're in a new age of heroes, if the heroes went to sleep. The last Capcom crossover that graced our consoles was Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite in 2017, with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 arriving in 2011. With the decline of Capcom fighters, what could be the next big Capcom crossover on the horizon? I think it's safe to assume that the Marvel series will have some much needed rest. After all, Infinite did not perform to either company's expectations. For a series as beloved as Marvel, it's a tough reality. As for SNK, the company is on a mission to revitalize their old IPs. Over the past decade, there has been dozens of re-releases on current platforms. Not only does the company have King of Fighters 14 and SNK Heroines, but Samurai Showdown is on the horizon for 2019 as well. Furthermore, believe it or not, Capcom vs. SNK 3 was actually in development at one point. Don't believe me? Well, look for yourself. I stumbled across a Capcom-owned website recently that's not only active, but predominantly features behind-the-scenes details on game development, canceled projects, and rejected assets. On the website, I found an interview with the legendary SNK and King of Fighters developer, Mr. Tanabe. During this interview, he details his early days at Capcom after SNK went bankrupt in 2001. After working on some of SNK's biggest projects, such as with the first SNK vs. Capcom and Capcom vs. SNK, it was a natural choice for him to choose Capcom as his next place of business. Returning to the interview, Mr. Tanabe details that upon being hired, he was assigned to 2 projects. However, before beginning development on the game that we'll be getting to in a moment, the first fighting game that he was assigned to was Capcom vs. SNK 3. Now sure, the title of the game was censored by asterisks, but it's as clear as day as to what those asterisks stood for. I wouldn't be surprised if they couldn't outright say the name due to non-disclosure reasons. Mr. Tanabe even spoke of reusing assets from a different game, something that the Capcom vs. SNK series were no stranger to. Although there was no falling out between Capcom or SNK, now probably wouldn't be the best time for the 2 powers to come together. You may be asking yourself, what's next? Well, check this out. There's another Capcom crossover that we were robbed of. A game that Mr. Tanabe was assigned to that would have changed the course of Capcom history forever. That game was Capcom Fighting All-Stars. Hey, I hope you don't mind me cutting in here. If you liked the video so far, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. For the longest time now, fans have been begging Capcom for a game like this. A game that features all of the Capcom characters that we know and love, old and new. The one thing about Capcom fans is that they know their history. And really, all we want are cool and well-polished characters. Capcom Fighting All-Stars was a game that was shown off in 2003 that featured the likes of Alex from the Street Fighter series, Akira from the Rival School series, and so on, with the addition of 3 brand new characters, Ingrid, DD, and Rook. The game was set to be the first 3D Capcom fighter made in-house. Not only did it feature characters from throughout Capcom's history, but it also featured a detailed narrative as well. This game marked the end of an era of quality to some, and an era of utilizing beloved older characters to many. In today's time, Capcom could use some of that. I believe the true reason why this game received awful feedback during its closed beta was because Capcom were still in their silver age of fighters. 2D fighters were still the craze, and the likes of MVC and Capcom vs. SNK were still relevant at the time. Even today, fans of 2D and 3D fighters tend to throw shade here and there due to their distaste of a certain aspect of a game. Being that it was 2003 and the group of playtesters were likely Capcom fans, I feel that the game was shown at the wrong place at the wrong time. SNK should be an example for Capcom to follow. Not only have the company re-released their older games in recent years, but they're now branching off from the King of Fighters series. In the 90s, SNK released other games aside from the yearly KOF games. KOF is a crossover game in itself, stemming from series like Samurai Showdown. To bring back a series like that, especially in the high quality that is presented, shows the love and pride that the company has for their IPs. As much as I love the Marvel vs. Capcom series, Capcom doesn't need Marvel to create a great fighting game crossover. Capcom owns all of their characters, it's just a matter of utilizing them. Unlike Marvel Infinite, Capcom won't have to deal with the issue of being told not to use a certain set of characters, or rush the game out to meet the release of a movie. I'm just one guy on the internet. I know that Capcom won't solely take my word for it, but the company could just show the world a tease of a logo, and it would send the internet and the fighting game community in a frenzy. Capcom knows how to make a great product. Street Fighter V was put on life support until Arcade Edition came out, and at this point, you could call it a full game. Like Maximilian Dew said, we're on the verge of a Capcom redemption arc, and it's still early in the season. From here on, anything could happen, so let's make Fighting All-Stars be that anything. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the content, check out my video on Capcom vs. SNK 3 and why it was cancelled. You'll love it.